I'm an undecided business major, and I have been having quite a difficult time deciding what area of business I would like to study. One of the focuses that particularly interests me is the study of supply chain. I'm currently taking microeconomics, and we just learned about the production possibility frontier, or PPF for short, which is the amount of certain products that can be produced based on finite resources. There are two ways that production in the PPF can change. Firstly, production can move inside the PPF, meaning that a manufacturer still has the ability to produce on the PPF. But there are other factors as to why they are not producing at the maximum capacity. An example of this is the COVID-19 pandemic. While many countries struggled to export goods in the quantity that they were being demanded because of COVID complications, the machinery and technology used to manufacture the goods was not actually damaged, so countries were just operating inside their economic PPF. Unlike a recession in the economy, which just temporarily shifts production inside the PPF, natural disasters shift the whole production curve inward. This happens when equipment to produce materials is destroyed and becomes impossible to manufacture a product in the same quantity. Equipment can include the actual machinery and technology required to produce the good, or even extend to the ports or airports affected when trying to export the good. When a country or manufacturer's PPF shifts inward, it can take weeks, months, or even years to get back to pre-disaster manufacturing quantity. An example that hits close to home for me was the 2017 hurricane in Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria. I spent 2 weeks of my summer that year in Puerto Rico building a house for a woman who'd lost everything in the hurricane. Flying into the territory, all I could see for miles and miles were blue tarped roofs, buildings were destroyed, families were uprooted, and lives were lost. Believe it or not, Puerto Rico is one of the United States' biggest pharmaceutical and medical device suppliers. So when their factories and machinery was destroyed, the world was scrambling to fill the pharmaceutical needs of hospitals. Specifically, sterile normal saline, which is administered intravenously to help rehydrate patients. It is items like these that you wouldn't necessarily think of as the first thing to worry about in a natural disaster, but when hospitals run low, it's quite literally putting patients' lives at risk because they're not able to receive life-saving treatments. According to an article published by JAMA Internal Medicine, the United States has had problems with being able to supply hospitals with enough sterile saline in the past. Because Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico's ability to manufacture medical supplies for other countries, the FDA has had to work diligently to improve other manufacturers in the production and distribution of sterile normal saline. Puerto Rico's PPF was shifted inwards for quite a long time because of several earthquakes in the following years that continued to destroy property. However, slowly but surely, they will work their way back to their original PPF. Another example of the PPF shifting inward, but only for a short period of time, was a natural disaster in Japan. In 2011, earthquake and tsunami Tohoku caused over $210 billion worth of damage in Japan. Car manufacturers were hit particularly hard. Because they rely on something called just-in-time delivery to get most of their materials and maximize efficiency, they were forced to shut down temporarily because there was no way to import the materials that they needed to manufacture anything. According to research conducted by Hiratsumi Matsuo in an article in the International Journal of Production Economics, there is a multi-layered supplier network in Japan. Among the supply chain in Japan, there was a lack of knowledge and communication between suppliers, causing confusion and even more delays. Impressively, it only took 3 weeks for production to return to pre-disaster quantities. Because they have a lot more resources, Japan was able to bounce back more quickly than Puerto Rico. This has to do in part with the fact that the car industry is such a booming business in Japan. Many car brands like Subaru, Toyota, Lexus, and Mitsubishi are all Japanese originated. Being one of its top industries, keeping the automotive market in full manufacturing capacity is extremely important for keeping the Japanese economy running. While these are just two examples of countries in which natural disaster has affected supply chain, there are countless examples of such occurrences. According to the authors of the peer-reviewed article, Proactive and Reactive Models for Disaster-Resilient Supply Chain, in the 2019 Annals of Operations, research is the only thing that we can do to prepare for such inconveniences is to make sure that no one country or area is solely in charge of production or important goods. Spreading production throughout the world will help ensure the even and fair distribution when disaster occurs.